Let's talk Indiana. We have problems.
Project 2025. Many of you have already heard about it. Some of you are just learning about it, but much of it is already underway here in Indiana.
This limited series podcast highlights many elements of Project 2025 and how it impacts Indiana.
Welcome back, everyone. Indiana's own Dana Black. Let's talk Indiana. Yo, we've been off for a couple of weeks because there has been so much going on. But before we break it down, let me bring my homies in the mix. Mark Gevaart, say hi to the people.
Oh, Dana Black, thanks for having me back here again. I am excited, but let's say hi to Mary Noone.
Hello, everybody. So glad to be in the hot seat today because there's so much to break down between Project 2025, the DNC, happenings in the real world.
Yeah.
And we, 56 days out right now?
From the recording, yeah, we are. I've been saying less than 60 because, you know, when you think about 60 days, that's the time you have to make returns and get your full refund. You know what I'm saying? So people get like, oh, less than 60 days. We're good there. So that's how I've been thinking about it. And we are coming down to the wire. And guys, the DNC, we haven't talked since the DNC.
Tell us. Yeah.
I got to be in the mix. So my employer was a sponsor of several events, and we also received floor passes. So, but there were like 30 of us from the organization there. And so we had to divvy out the floor passes. I actually got to be in the United Center on Monday night, which was Biden night, and Thursday night, which was Harris night. And let me tell you, both of those nights were electric. Let me tell you, on Monday night, nobody knew that the vice president was going to be in the building. So AOC gave a great speech. I mean, I was like, AOC ready. She ready for prime time.
I agree.
I agree. And, you know, all the other speeches were fantastic. But nobody knew Harris was there. She walked out and the place exploded.
I love it.
I mean, I get goosebumps just thinking about how everyone was just electrified just at her walking out on stage before she said anything with her tan suit on, right?
I was going to say, did you catch it? Now let's share with the audience what the significance of the tan suit is, because we got to talk about that.
Yeah, the tan suit, and man, just being there. But there were so many amazing speeches, right? I thought that Elizabeth Warren's humbleness and gratitude that she felt being cheered, like she didn't know we was down with her progressive values and her consumer protection role that she's played. The Hillary Clinton, whoo,
yeah,
woo,
yeah,
woo.
She was ready
in the house, right?
Yeah. She was flying.
You know what? That's the Hillary I wish we saw before. But she has, but you know what? You know, what she did for women in elected office, we have to give her the due credit for what she did. She was moving through her experiences and her seats that she held and breaking each one of those personas that she had to get through to get to this place. And we owe her that because of what she has given women an opportunity to step up and be their real authentic self. She didn't have that gift. She didn't have that ability because
she was the leader. Yeah.
Exactly.
The first one through.
And now the layers are peeled back, and look at how AOC showed up. Look at how Kamala Harris is showing up. The joy is back. People are being authentic leaders, and look where it's bringing us. And we do owe that to Hillary Clinton. Even though at the time we couldn't understand what was happening, it's quite clear right now the role that she has played, and we have to give her credit for that.
Absolutely. I 100%. I just wish that was the same Hillary. I wish she had been in 2016 because if she had showed up like that in 20s, but John Kerry did the same thing. Like he was kind of dull during the election. And then when he spoke at the next convention, he was on fire. And I'm like, bro, where was that?
I know. Where was that?
Too many strategists in the room on that one.
Yeah.
I think there's so many people that handle everything, that tell them how they should and shouldn't say and what they should do. And that doesn't, let them be authentic. It's a tough thing to do because that's the authentic Hillary Clinton that you saw. But that whole brown pantsuit thing, let's get into that Kamala was wearing, that the tan one. That goes back to when Barack Obama once showed up for one day of work in a tan suit and everybody's head exploded on the Republican Party.
Exactly. Probably because they couldn't rock it like that.
Yeah,
Yes.
probably couldn't. But they,
Right.
yeah. So basically, keep going with that, Mark, because the tan suit, what they did was they
Yes.
draw the parallel that because terrorists wear tan suits, that's where they went with
Oh
that.
God, I didn't
That-
even.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
That's
Yeah.
where they went with that. So Kamala Harris basically said, I'm not going to give you permission to do that. I will wear a tan suit on my terms. And that is
exactly.
owning it. And she has
Yeah.
done that hands down. So if you want to talk about marketing and branding, she gets a gold star all week.
Absolutely.
Everything she did. Gold star.
Jasmine Crockett, Representative Jasmine Crockett, her speech was touching. Oh my gosh. And the emotion that she shared, and hey, this woman has had my back. That was amazing. But and before I go to what I consider to be the best speech, the family of the hostage victim, that one was hard. Because the mom literally, she was holding it together, and then when she put her head down, you knew she was done.
Yeah.
And and then for her son to lose his life, that was very touching. I'm glad I wasn't in the building for that one. The roll call, the musical roll call. Nicole
Unprecedented.
Listen, Nicole was on the floor and she was like, "What is happening?" She said that was just, she was, especially when
everybody was going to outdo. Each state was going to outdo the next.
Oh my God, Georgia beat it. Georgia did it.
Georgia topped it.
Turned down for what? Come on.
So here's the thing: they achieved what they meant to achieve because. Dana, you were on the flip side. I went up there as, the strategist, working the rural caucus, doing all the meet and greets, got Andy Bashir, saw Heidi Kump, saw Gwen Wall speak. There were so many other folks because if you ever go to a DNC convention, don't feel like you can't go if you don't have a ticket in. There's so many other activities for people to get involved.
So many places. Yeah.
Yeah. Jamie Raskin. I went to the Interfaith Coalition and Conversation. There was a lot of panel discussions, but my train didn't come back here because I had to come back for Wednesday for a meeting. Then I went back up Thursday. So of course, what do? You go into a bar, Intercontinental Hotel, TV's on, they're doing the roll call and all of us are cheering. And I was making all new friends, changing addresses and emails because the energy was that electric through the TV in the area. Right.
I was at a sponsored event that night as well with some young people, and the roll call was going down. And Jasmine Crockett actually spoke at that event as well. So it was like the roll call, Jasmine Crockett, young people. I get it.
Yeah. It was great. I mean, then when I back up Thursday night, because I had made friends on Tuesday night, I was like, got invited to a few extra parties. So there's a lot to do up there.
Listen, my
That's
job.
why Chicago wanted it too. They played it. They played it well.
Well, and the Midwest is hot. You know what I'm saying? The Midwest is hot. Even the Republicans had theirs in Milwaukee, right?
Yep.
So the Midwest is hot. They know that these states are hot. But, my job, they just have me working so hard. I mean, all the events.
Well, you were in a separate building, so talk about that. You weren't at the United Center.
Let me tell you about how hard my job.
I went to look for Dana a couple times, and she was nowhere in sight. She was working it.
We had a list of events, sponsored events that each of us had to go to, and my gosh, I had to go to the House of Blues and listen to Boys to Men sing live.
It was a tough night.
The hard work.
I'm here in an official capacity.
I am. But yes, I was at the Dimpalooza. So we had a booth at the Dimpalooza, and it was where all the vendors hang out. I had 2 booth days, ironically, Monday and Thursday. But it was, what was so cool about it was how many of my Indiana folks came through the booth just to say, hey. Right.
Yeah.
Like we know Indiana's own is over there, and they came in, they're obviously they're my clients. Right.
Sure.
But more importantly, I understood what Elizabeth Warren was going through, because when, people recognize the work, it just touches your heart. So shout out to everybody that came by the booth, and you know which booth it was, just to say hi. I even got pictures from people who came when I wasn't there. That's how dope that was.
Right.
All right. So Mark, you haven't talked much. Tell us.
Well, I was going to say that for me, how many women did you find in leadership roles? and found that they were ready to be there at that moment. I mean, after 248 years in this country, isn't it a chance to give some women a chance to put it up front? And I was amazed that everywhere I saw somebody or knew somebody, and I talked to somebody that they returned, they talked about women taking care of business and getting it done. And that to me is very exciting. And that's how it's opening up to create the more opportunity for the Swifties, whoever you want to say, a younger generation, somebody that's 25, exactly, to 35 or 40. They're saying, you know what? I hate politics. I listen to my parents. I don't want to care about that stuff. I am voting now. I'm a registered voter. October 7, let's just say that. You've got to get it done. You can't do it. It's your deadline. If you want to register, if you haven't registered, make sure you take that step. But I was just so excited.
I'll include the link. I'll make sure I include the link when we post this for you guys to get registered. I did a voter reg yesterday at a church and voter reg drive, and it was, we live streamed it. So it's on my Facebook page. It's not associated with Turn Left. It's just a live stream. But check it out, and there's a QR code there if you want to scan it. But let's talk about what your favorite speech was of the convention, Mark.
For me, it was Kamala Harris's speech because she brought it in a matter-of-fact manner. And I'd say my top three, because number 2 would be AOC. She brought it, and my third was Elizabeth Warren. But number 1, I thought Kamala Harris I have seen her, and let's not lose sight of the fact that she's been doing public service in elected positions for over 30 years.
Yes.
This is not a new thing for her.
Not at all.
So she was more than ready for this. I mean, you look back, JFK, Barack Obama had only served 1 term as a senator. So you think about them. Yes, they're good quality candidates. They did a great job. They give good speech. But Kamala Harris is ready for today and all the challenges. I'm looking forward to the debate, obviously, just to see how she's going to handle things. I believe it's going to be a roast more than anything else. I don't know if it's going to be a debate.
Did you catch the wardrobe decision by VP Harris? Everybody, most of the women, even me, most of the women, we had on white for suffrage.
For suffrage,
right.
Yep.
And she removed herself from that conversation by wearing a navy blue, right? And it was she is literally saying, okay, I know the historic significance of being a woman of color, but I ain't going to make that the front and center issue. I'm not going to wear the white, not until I win. And I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah.
Because she's saying she's qualified. She's qualified.
Mary, what was your favorite speech?
Oh, God. Kamala Harris, it was, that was my favorite speech for so many reasons. But I will have to say some things that really stood about Jasmine Crockett's speech. When she shared, I want to talk about this because this is really important as we work through, having women get elected and the younger generation coming up. When she really talked about, and this tells you what kind of leader Kamala Harris is, when she was in her first year and going through that, everybody's had an experience in their life where everything is new, overwhelming. You're drinking from the fire hose, but you know you're damn well qualified and you should be there. But we also need to know that leaders who help out other leaders are what's going to move us forward. And Kamala Harris had the intuitive insight and intuition to know that I need to help this young congressperson, this congresswoman, to help her and give her a leg up. And she sensed that and had her back. It reminds me of the famous quote from Madeleine Albright. I don't know if you guys remember. She had a speech where she said, I hate to say it, but I'm going to say it. Love this quote. There's a place in hell for women who don't help other women. Woo. That's the only way we're going to move forward.
Ooh, I have some thoughts on that, but I ain't going to talk about it because I know some people would be mad at me.
Right?
Ooh, I got some thoughts on that. So,
but that's a great point. She was ready.
Yeah,
she was ready.
Yes. She was ready to be there. And sometimes it doesn't matter that, the feelings inside that we have about nervous energy, we can lift each other up.
Absolutely.
We can really
That's why I get down with Who's Rooming Forward. Like that. I love that organization. I love what they do and they don't recruit candidates, and it's not a candidate training. It's about preparing leaders who are already leaders in their own right to do that work in the civic engagement space. And I really love it. All right, y'all. My favorite speech of the whole week, Michelle Obama.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yep.
She left that when they go low, we go high nonsense out the door.
That's some 4 years. That's 8 years ago. Yeah.
She came with when they go low, kick them in the head. That's what she came with. And she challenged, she challenged the ideas that, the only reason why Trump has an issue with them is because they're qualified, intelligent, well-educated, successful. Oh, and they just happen to be black.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And she brought it. And she by far was my favorite speech. The second one would have to be AOC because she brought that funk and that fire. And then the third one would be Hillary Clinton. Now, I will say this. Tim Walz, Governor Walz's son, and the emotion and the excitement that he displayed.
I cried. I had to cry. It was,
too.
you couldn't
Yeah.
not.
Yeah. The pride.
That was the atmosphere of the whole week was joy, love, and we will not go
Connection.
back.
Yep. And connection. And you know what? I think what was all these speeches now, these folks, you know, they have their own thing they want to say. They have their own brand. They have their own image. But regardless of that, there was such a thread and theme, exactly what you said, that was woven through everything about freedom, community. We're all in this together. Enough of this us against them.
Yes.
Bringing it back to where, you know, we're still neighbors. We can agree to disagree. Let's dive in and decide on policy, but not this other shit that's going on. Excuse
True.
me.
No, that's true. That's so true.
And they didn't talk. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Mark. Go ahead.
No, I would say that there's still those folks within the party who want to divide based on what's going on in the Middle East, what's going on with the Second Amendment, what's going on with LGBTQ, and say, hey, it's all or nothing. I don't want to support her because she doesn't see it my way. It's starting to peel back. It's starting to understand that, you know what, we have to win first, and then we'll fight this fight. I see that coming.
And the other thing was, like, we didn't have to talk about diversity and inclusion. We were diversity and inclusion. Unlike the other one, you know, they have their few tokens, right? They have tokens. Right. But because anytime you vote for a piece of legislation that makes it harder for you and your people to vote means you a token and you a seller. I don't care what they say. And it drives me crazy when I hear Black Republicans talk about how Black Democrats are on a plantation. Huh?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
No, there's more of us, and we're actually elected to a lot more positions. So who is actually on the plantation?
Right.
Yeah.
That being said, we didn't have to talk about diversity and inclusion. It just was on display. I mean, the way our Native Americans were represented, the way the Latino community was represented, people with disabilities, how they were represented. They didn't have to talk about it. They were just there.
Right.
Oh, and the masterful way they talked about Project 2025.
Ooh, that was so great.
It was woven through everything.
Everything. I loved with Mallory McMorrow brings out the big book and just goes,
drops it on this car. Yeah, exactly. And then others carried it out as a prop. They had to have it in their hand.
That was great.
Flip to page 524.
There it is. Which is why we are doing this podcast, Let's Talk Indiana. It's about breaking down Project 2025 and how it impacts Indiana. The DNC was dope, but we had another one, Mary. Another mass shooting at a school since we last spoke.
I tell you, my frustration is let's talk about our candidates here from the state of Indiana. Representative Jim Banks, absolutely nothing on his campaign and or his Twitter accounts or any social media at all. Larry Bashan, absolutely nothing. Representative Sparts went off talking about how we have freedoms and things like that. Rudy Yackham, Greg Pence, and Jim Baird came on with something about how it's important that we make sure we take care of our constitutional rights, that type of thing. But Houken said absolutely nothing. So I see that the Republicans here in this state who are in the congressional offices absolutely worthless to this. Not even a thoughts and prayers came out from them. So that's my brief. I'll throw that there. Yeah.
They can't say anything because of what they support and who they get their money from. They're all, AAA pluses from the NRA, if you want to say that. So I think the challenge with that is they've boxed themselves into a corner where they cannot, if they share, like Rudy Yackham. I know he lives here in our community. Okay. Yeah. I know that he's concerned and people are concerned about sending their kids to school. And that's not the country we should be living in. And let me tell you, I do not want to, what gets me frustrated is when I hear it's mental health. And this is Suicide Prevention Month. Okay.
Correct.
A lot of folks around the country have they have mental health concerns, but they don't have the level of gun violence. So you cannot blame people's mental health on our gun violence issue. We are making guns accessible to folks on every level. And that does not mean that we want to violate your Second Amendment rights. It has nothing to do with it. They're two different separate conversations. And that's what gets me frustrated is have you guys ever followed Ryan Bussey? He was the NRA, he was an executive at Kimberly Gun.
And he's had some interviews. He's written a few things that I thought
he's
were
written
very
the book on fight, and he really walks you through the transition the NRA went through and the gun industry went through because of the NRA and how the industry has completely changed. And he walked away for those exact same reasons. I can't morally stay here anymore, even though I'm a hunter. I believe in the Second Amendment, but he watched that transition of the brainwashing, the branding, the glorification of guns. I want to tell you two stories. This really bothers me. Because they have taken a weapon of war and normalized it.
And then sold millions.
And the way they did that was going back to the Iraq Desert Storm, overseas. If you remember in 2000, the early 2005, when we were over there, that was the first phase of digital. Remember, digital first. So now we could see our brothers, uncles, nephews, friends, females, everybody over there, and they were holding guns. And they used that rather than seeing a picture, because it brings the realization of what's happening in war-torn countries, what's happening, and they use that and glorify that, and they normalize that, and they made it something that people wanted to have to celebrate. And the second thing they did, this is marketing, they changed the term of a sports rifle. Do you remember that? The NRA changed it. So in other words, Ryan Bussey explains it quite well. Every year he would have an annual event at his house, bring in the industry folks, and they would try the new guns at Kimberly that were making, right? And they would go for a hunt because that's what they were used for, right? Because you got to keep in mind, when you buy a gun, you have it. It's a classic item. You pass it down to your children. There's no reason to buy 5 or 6 or 10 or 20. They had to create a reason to buy exorbitant amount of guns, multiple guns. So if you've got a gun, you use it for hunting, it was grandpa's, you pass it on to your kids as you're teaching them how to hunt, right? So you still have that collector's item. So they're having these events, right? And these events were well orchestrated, showing it's like a way you're introducing new products to folks. And then these young folks came from another gun company, and they brought their AR-15 style rifles to hunt with. And the older folks, the industry, no, that's not how you hunt. That's actually inhuman to the animals. That's not how we hunt. And they put them away.
There's nothing left of the animal.
Right.
These are not hunting guns, right? So it was a norm. It was the norm to hunt with hunting rifles, put those away. And that was the accepted norm. NRA steps in and they've changed what a sporting rifle is defined at through marketing and brainwashing, let's call it what it is. And that's what we've normalized. We've allowed the NRA to normalize the ownerships of guns that are weapons of war through various phases of that. And now these weapons of war are in our school, and I have a problem with that.
I definitely have a problem with it. And I'm actually glad that law enforcement arrested the father. Right.
Yeah.
Arrested the father.
And they applied that quickly.
Yeah,
too.
they did. Yeah, they did. And maybe that'll be the kind of deterrent that will help. But if Trump, the Orange Menace, gets elected and they implement Project 2025, it is going to make us less safe because they're going like, for example, one of the guardrails that we think could help are red flag laws. Well, Project 2025 would like to eliminate red flag.
Yeah.
The other thing they want to do in Project 2025, during George W. Bush, his years, he moved the enforcement powers of the ATF over to DOJ. That's the policing arm of gun lobbies and licensures and all that. They moved it over to the DOJ. Now they want to move it back over to Treasury. What does that mean? That means they don't have any authority being the top cop of gun dealers.
Right.
Exactly.
So
Right.
holding them
Free for
accountable.
all. Yeah.
A free for all. Does anybody know what happened over in Gary, Indiana about the straw guns? So, okay, so this goes back to Project 2025, what's happening here in Indiana. So, what happened is you have to have this DOJ law enforcement to track that when people are getting permits, that's actually them and they're actually being used for them. So, straw guns, or when you're out there, you're buying it under your name, but then you go and sell it.
Okay.
You go sell it to somebody who's not legally allowed to have a gun. You make a profit off it, okay? This gun shop in Gary, Indiana, was notorious for that. The Mayor Lightfoot, prior to her leaving office
In Chicago. Yes.
in Chicago, thank you, she was suing this gun shop in Gary because they traced back that 2/3, I'll have to look up the data.
It was an exorbitant number.
Exorbitant amount of
hundreds,
homicides and violent
were
crimes.
tied to that shop.
You got it. So they were suing that shop for the straw gun sales. Okay. Now, fast forward, making them liable. Gary Melton, the mayor now
Eddie Melton.
Eddie, sorry, Eddie,
Gary.
sorry. Gary, Indiana. Yeah, that's where he's from. Getting all confused. So he, as the mayor, was also suing gun manufacturers and gun shops for their lack of responsibility.
Yeah.
So two things have happened. Again, the GOP state legislator here in Indiana has now passed a law against municipalities from from
Yeah. And backdated
Signed by
it.
Holcomb.
and backdated 2 weeks prior to
Because Mayor Melton wasn't the first person to try to sue. This has been going on since like 2012, 2013, something like that. And they passed legislation in the state house and backdated the effectiveness of the day of the law to like 3 days before the lawsuit was filed.
Exactly. Yep.
That's how crazy it is.
Dastardly. It's
I mean,
horrible.
and it's so, I mean, because now, mind you, they want to talk about the violence in Chicago, in the inner city, and all of those people, or the violence in Gary, but they are enabling that violence, and they're doing it for profit.
And they did it because they were told that would be in their best interest to make that happen, and here's some money.
Yeah.
So don't think Holcomb's not clean on this. He is dirty as everybody else is. Thank you.
They're all.
It's really important to note that 5% of gun shops across the country are responsible for 90% of the crimes. So he wants to take away. Yes. Yep. Thank you. Thank you. The Project 2025 project, the folks, Velshi on MSNBC has been really diving into.
Really getting in deep.
Really ended it. So when you think about it, they want to take the DOJ's ability to tell these gun shops, you can't do this anymore.
Yeah. Right. And they're even finding scapegoat people along the way here in the last 15 years about who took guns from these shops in Indiana and took them to Chicago, had them in their car, sold them to whoever, and then it turns around and ends up being part of a crime, and then ends up in the police's hands. They follow back. Now they're taking those folks and throwing them in jail for that tie. So they're immediately saying, well, it wasn't us, but look what we did. You know, look what law enforcement has done for this. They're out here to take care of business. And the scapegoats, 90% of the time, are black folks.
Of course. But they're treating, but I want them to treat these gun owners like they do, or these gun shop owners like they do bartenders. If a bartender
serving the drinks, right,
serves the drinks, and the person was over the limit, and they go out and have an accident and cause harm, the bartender is held liable.
Yep.
Right.
And I don't understand. Well, I do understand, but why can't we do the same thing? But these guys, and I question why they want so many guns in the streets when how does having all these guns in the streets benefit or help humanity?
So it doesn't, but let me give you some background that I have in my life. 30 years, my brother-in-law is in law enforcement in the state of Wisconsin. In Al Gore running in 2000, oh my gosh, gun sales through the roof, ammo through the roof, sales nuts. Come with Obama, happens all over again, because what they play is if he gets elected, whoever he is in the Democratic Party, they're coming for your guns. Boom, sales jump 50 to 60%. in the last 6 months. And then once the election happens, oh my gosh, Obama won. Oh my gosh, I need 6 guns. I need all this ammo. I need 2,000 rounds. And it just keeps going on. And this cycle just continues. And it's supported by NRA people, which is why Ryan left like he did, because he had some morals. Crazy.
But they don't, all they can offer slaughtered 14-year-olds is thoughts and prayers. And like you said, all those elected officials who said nothing.
They absolutely was quiet. And they only talked about platitudes of some kind of off things like, hey, let's make sure that we don't lose sight of the Constitution. And it's like, what?
Well, even
they got talking points, but they were weak.
Even the governor of Georgia kind of, in my opinion, dropped the ball on that. You know?
Yeah, he pretended like this is not the time to talk about it.
It's exactly the time.
Exactly.
But I've said it once, I've said it a gazillion times, and a lot of other people have said it as well. You knew that there was not going to be real gun reform, gun safety reform after they took out, slaughtered those babies at Sandy Hook.
Yeah.
When little white kids in suburban America are slaughtered and nothing changes, then they don't care.
Yeah.
Right. Proven year over year.
Yes. And we're the only nation that does this. Like, no other nation is having this problem.
Denmark? What happened in Denmark when there was a gun violence in a primary school? They outlawed guns, remember?
Same thing in Australia.
Same in Australia. Exactly. It's like common sense. When we go overseas, the police officers don't carry guns. Now, a different level of police officers, but these police officers, when they have to take out guns, because I go overseas with my husband a lot, they have to sign them out. Like, there's a certain protocol, like a certain level of responsibility and ethics and everything that goes behind the gun. And what gets me is when you look at Project 25, under this section, even on guns, on using responsible common sense gun, there are also othering in the gun section. Do you know what I mean by that? I don't know if you guys caught this, but there's an independent outside panel to investigate whether transgender hormone treatments and ideology increase the risk of extreme depression and aggression and violence. It's in the gun area, saying that literally that they're also saying, folks, they're claiming school violence is connected to the LGBTQ community.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy.
No
in fact,
evidence
the
of that.
LGBTQ plus youth are the ones that are being bullied and harassed the most. Now, I like the idea of the police having to sign out weapons for a special reason, because then maybe Sonia Massey wouldn't have been shot in her own home when she called the police to say, hey, I think I hear an intruder, and then she ends up dead.
Or push the wrong door in, Breonna Taylor. You name it.
Exactly. Because people don't have guns, the police officers don't need guns. So it brings down the violence level on so many different levels.
Yeah. And then you just hear about
we're to a point. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, then you just hear about somebody getting stabbed, like but you're not perched on top of a building, being able to get off 30 rounds. It's a violent person is going to be violent, but the weapon of choice, or the weapon that they use to be violent, will be one person hurt or 100 people hurt. And come on, don't tell me guns don't kill people. People kill people. That nonsense. I mean, a bat can kill people too, but people ain't running around beating people up with a bat, because it takes a lot of energy to do that.
Yeah.
Right. So let's not lose sight of the fact that we're standing now in this country on this mound of guns. So much so,
like 5
more
per person?
guns than people in this country right now. And that hasn't stopped. If you look at the manufacturers, they continue. They're all in to continue to do it, because that's their new hot thing. They talk, like I just talked about earlier. It was Gore. It was Obama. Now it's Harris. Oh my gosh, they're coming for our guns. They're shooting. It's a bad choice of words. That graph will go up again for sales.
Yeah.
Whether it's ammo and or the gun.
And at what point do the people who are feeling like they need to stockpile their guns realize they didn't come for them when Barack was in office? They haven't come for him when Biden was in office, and we're not coming for him when Harris is in office. Yes, I'm claiming it. So why do you keep believing stupid stuff? And how do we? I guess you can't fix stupid, though. I guess
you can't fix stupid, because did you guys know there are more gun shops in the United States than McDonald's and Starbucks combined?
I did not know that.
Yeah. That stat was sick when I saw that. Yeah.
Can you believe that?
Yeah.
I didn't know that because I don't care about guns. Like, I really just don't care about guns. I have no need. I was in junior ROTC in high school, and they taught us how to use the weapon. They taught us how to break the weapon down, clean the weapon, and shoot that weapon in multiple positions. And when I graduated high school, I was like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I can't imagine putting a bullet through flesh. I just can't. My internal person would not be able to. I hit a possum with a car, and you know, those are the ugliest little rodents you ever seen in your life.
And you wanted to rescue it.
I about died inside because of how it made me feel. The other reason why I don't care about guns is because I have a short temper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Know yourself.
Yeah. Right.
You know, the other thing with Project 25 and the guns, this is what kills me about this. The old Republican Party, that is now since not with us anymore, was all about states' rights, right?
Oh, yeah.
Every state gets to have, they're talking about push everything back to the states, let the states decide. But one of the key elements in this gun section of Project 2025 is the reverse the Concealed Reciprocity Act. Do we know what that is?
No.
That means, so if you own a gun, it's the state of Indiana. We have states' rights here in the state of Indiana against the commissioner, the superintendent of the police, permitless carry.
Yes.
Like, that means here in Indiana. But now what they want to see happen is, because you are allowed to have that in Indiana, you cannot, right, the way it stands now, if you go to Chicago, that doesn't hold true. You have to show a permit for your gun. They want to erase that, meaning wherever if you have that right in Indiana, you can go anywhere around the country.
And that right follows you.
The right follows you.
And do you know how detrimental that is to the brown and black community? I mean, we already have a bunch of scaredy cat, trigger happy police officers as it is. And when a person tells you, Philando Castillo, I have a gun and I have a permit to carry it, and he still ends up shot and killed. I can have a cell phone and they don't know who has a gun and who doesn't have a gun now. And now you got these scaredy cat people who have already demonized, and the melanated people, that is, the melanation is the weapon, right? Let's be clear.
Yeah.
Do you know, like, black and brown folks, it's going to be hunting season for black and brown folks, because the police officers say, well, we didn't know if he had a gun or not. And
so we had to shoot first, ask questions later.
Look what happened to the Miami Dolphins football player last
night. Oh my God, yes, I saw that.
Because he was rich and driving a nice car.
Yeah. I mean,
right.
So
he must have stole it.
He had to have. He had to have, right? Because,
That's
black
not
people,
possible that he owns it.
we're not qualified for good paying jobs. We're not qualified to earn enough money to have whatever car we want. We're not qualified to be in spaces. Oh my God. Oh, it ain't got nothing to do with nothing, but y'all triggered me. Did y'all see where, since the removal of affirmative action, the Asian interest rate at Ivy League schools went down? The African Americans also went down. White folks kind of stayed the same, and Hispanics went up a little bit. But it was the Asian American community that was complaining. Okay, nothing to do with nothing. You triggered. Right. Okay, nothing to do with nothing. I just had to throw that out there.
Great stats. Thank
you.
Before
we go on, one more thing about the guns. I'm curious if you guys have heard anything, because Indiana, which it did, it passed and it paid for, put in our tax dollars, that they could train, because I think it was Jim Lucas's bill, train teachers have guns in the classroom. Yes. And let's go back just to finalize and wrap up this conversation. There was no way in hell that an armed teacher was going to prevent what happened in Georgia.
No.
I have been in those classrooms. 90% of teachers move around in the day.
Yeah. But how about the fact that we're not paying our teachers enough to actually teach, but now we want them to be security guards?
Armed and trained, yeah.
Right. And the fact that J.D. Vance said that, this is now a fact of life. Like, he's resigned and has accepted the fact that we are letting kids be shot in school. What kind of this person does not need to be a heartbeat away from a man who's damn near 80 on top of that, right? Let's be clear. And eats McDonald's and fried chicken all the time.
He's a cheeseburger away from it.
This man basically said there's nothing we can do to prevent this from happening, and we just ought to be resigned to it, and we need more resource officers. Bro, what? We could do something if you wanted to. You don't want to.
It's back to their build a wall, build a fence, put more guards up. Yeah, exactly.
Everybody be in a cage. Everybody, if they could, all of us would stay home.
Yeah, well, we need to talk about Build a Wall, except for Steve Bannon and that fake fundraiser that you remember that?
Yeah.
Millions of dollars.
He took from people. He was a grifter. Yeah. Classic. Yeah. Hey, right?
Man, these people out here, I used to think that, I wasn't a smart person because I know a lot of smart people and I know super intelligent people. And Nicole used to tell me all the time, baby, you are smart. And so let's just how recent it is. This is not like something from when I was a kid. This is when now. And now I'm like, how does your brain, like you graduated from college,
accept that?
How does your brain accept this? And I'm having a hard time with that. And yes, we can do something about guns, but if we let either of these clowns get into, executive, and honestly, I'm talking Braun and Beckwith too.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, that is destructive to the state level here.
Absolutely.
Beckwith in the last 15 days has said the most inane things that I would think make most people in their church blush about the crazy things he's talking about. He's finding the most obscure QAnon things and holding it up like it's the chalice. I don't understand this. Oh.
Yeah. And the Republicans didn't want him, but they're stuck with him. And they're not going to be able to control him because he doesn't. No. He knows that he got voted in by the people, right? And if you're like me, if you can have the party, I got the people, right?
Right.
He is a danger. I tell people all the time, and I've stopped using the gun analogy because we're always dealing with a gun trauma.
Yep.
I say that Maya Beckwith is as dangerous as of a person going outside smoking 14 cigarettes back to back to back to back.
Yeah.
Yep. He is going to. Maya Beckwith is horrible for Indiana. He's horrible for women. He's horrible for minorities and other marginalized communities. And if people don't understand that his belief system, his white Christian nationalist police, which we talked about, is harmful to us and flies in the face of everything that we are as Americans. I swear, this guy, man.
Well, I've gotten under his skin because he's blocked me now on Twitter.
You did it.
Your goal structure is awesome, Mary. Thank you.
I call him out. My whole thing, this, I have to say, last week I took a little 5-day break from Twitter. You have to do it this time of year before you go hard in for this next 2 months. Right. And I'm sorry, but I spoke truth. So you're going to block me because I'm calling you out and stating the facts.
Because he can't handle the truth.
Can't handle the truth.
What, did Jack Nicholson tell y'all that?
Yes.
You can't handle the truth. And they don't want, and also they don't want us letting his followers think that there's something other than what he is saying. So sometimes it's not even blocking you because he can't handle it. He's blocking you so that you can't get that information out to his followers.
Correct. Right. Correct. Right.
So guys, we got a gun problem.
Beyond that. Yep. Yeah. And it's solvable.
It really is.
It's solvable. And we can't let our children down. We are letting our kids down by not addressing the issues.
Well, I'm looking forward to how my grandchildren ask me questions in the next 10 years to 15 years as to how you voted and who you backed and what was going on and why are we here today? Because I hear all these stories about what America was and where we are today. Yeah, I got to be on the right side of it. We have to be on the right side of it for those generations coming behind us.
And when I think about people who, say what they would have been doing during the civil rights movement, I know what I would have been doing because I'm doing it now.
Thank you.
Right. Whatever you're doing now is what you would have been doing then.
Right.
So I love that, y'all. I love that analogy. Thank y'all. That was great. All right. The next thing guys, we want to talk about, how Project 2025 will impact our troops now and our veterans.
Yep.
Yeah. Especially our veterans. Oh my gosh. Yeah. They're ready to take things away. You listened to any of the Republicans I just mentioned in the U.S. Congress here earlier, because we're full of that here in this state. And every one of those folks are on board with Project 2025 because they're all in with Trump. Obviously, they're all in with Project 2025. Don't let them kid you otherwise. They don't talk about it, but they don't want you to know. They don't want you to delve into it. They don't want you to get into that.
No, they don't. And mind you, this is the same group of people who follow the guy that wants to have a military parade.
Because he likes it. It just looks good when he looks at it in Korea, and
it makes him feel more powerful.
Have you seen some of the comments that have been released that Rolling Stone had, where he basically was saying, for protesters, why can't we just kill them? They do it in other countries.
Right.
This guy.
And his analogy was, all I have to do is just kill a few of them, and the rest of them will figure it out and go home.
Yeah.
He meant that. He meant that.
Yeah.
Like their collateral damage is acceptable.
Yeah. And did you see the new color of the Atlantic this week, the magazine?
Mm-mm.
Oh, go Google it right now, folks.
Okay.
It is. Go Google it. I'd love to hear your thoughts, but let me just give a description to the listeners. It is Trump on it reminds me of a darkened Barnum and Bailey circus carriage. And basically he's on the front whipping a horse, and there's animals in the back, and you see him going down Capitol Hill, and you see the White House or Capitol. It's like the circus is back in town if we put Trump in office. That's the symbol. No words or anything. Google it.
Oh my gosh, that's more like burnt sienna. That's not even a
right. It's not.
That's not even a color anymore. You say the orange menace, but that's burnt sienna.
Yeah.
There.
I see it. Oh yeah.
Circus is back in town if we put him in office.
Oh my gosh. And I grew up in Wisconsin. So Baraboo, Wisconsin is where the carnies start and get their thing. And they summer all the way through in the summer, they're in the Midwest. Then in the winter, they're all in the Southwest to the South and keeping warm. And those folks, I'm telling you, they're carnival barkers, and they would run from these guys. I just don't understand how anybody does that. All my life I revere those people who are living out of a trailer basically and going from neighborhood to neighborhood to neighborhood. They get a bad rap, and I've known some really great people who've done that for their life. But why do we want to put Trump in a situation like that? God dang it. I feel bad for all those people that have worked in the carnival all these years.
Oh my God, yes.
And the circus.
But
it's not even fair.
Other thing, no, you're good. The other thing was he goes to Arlington Cemetery.
Yeah.
And he, he takes photo ops, and bullies, bullies.
He had his staff do that, but same difference.
Same difference. They wouldn't have
given permission. Yep.
Right. He gave them the freedom to do that, the feel that they could do that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. In such a sacred place.
Yeah. I mean, so when we talk about Project 2025 and how it impacts, enlisted people who are already in the service now, and our veterans. I know that we had said we were just going to talk about the veterans, but there's a lot of things in here that we have to take into consideration. So like for one, they want to ban trans people from serving in the military.
Yep.
Now,
and kick them out, not just say you can't enter. Those that are in lose their ranks and are out.
Now for somebody that couldn't serve because he had bone spurs, and was and often says, the people who serve in the military are suckers and losers. Why wouldn't you want someone who's trans to serve? Because at least they're brave enough to A, be trans, and B, fight for our country. And doggone it, again, I'm going to get in my soapbox. I have yet to see my gay discount. I ain't tax break. I ain't seen a transgender tax break. We still got to pay the same taxes that everybody else has to pay, but we are being denied opportunities. That's crazy.
Yep.
This is what they will do. Also, women. Don't be stationed in a state that has totally banned, because we do in the states' rights thing. Don't be stationed in a state where abortion is completely banned, because we know, unfortunately, that rapes happen in the military. Right now, the military will pay for a woman to go to another state to have her abortion. If you remember, that was the holdup on all the judges that were supposed to be voted on with Tommy Tuberville, who was holding it all up because he believed that the military shouldn't be able to do that. But they would remove the military's ability to send a woman to a state if she's been to receive the reproductive health care that she needs. So why would you even want to join the military? And they talk about they want 50,000 more troops every year. Why would you even want to join when you know your rights will be taken away?
Right.
You can't get anybody to join. Yeah.
And I think we have to bring it for a pause here and go back to about reproductive health. I know we're talking about the veterans, because the one thing I do want to dive into in a moment is the impact on healthcare on our veterans that they have outlined here in Project 2025. But we really have to take a pause here because you mentioned reproductive health. It's reproductive health. We have to talk about the whole spectrum of care. I don't know if you folks saw in the Indianapolis Star, people are coming forward and talking about the impact, the fact that we ban abortion here in Indiana, except there's very limited exceptions. The woman who died of ectopic pregnancy, where she had, if anybody doesn't know what that type of pregnancy, it's when when you're going through pregnancy and women don't know it because they're showing all the signs of being pregnant, but the pregnancy is forming outside on the fallopian tubes or other areas. And obviously that's not sustainable. You discover that, and you should be able to have medical care, reproductive health care. The woman was 26 years old, denied medical care here in Indiana, sent home. Meanwhile, she has a toddler. She just developed sepsis because that's not sustainable because of where she lived. She was far away from a hospital with an OBGYN unit and care. So she had to travel further away. And unfortunately, this young mother died, folks.
And leaves a young child behind.
So how is that, putting families first?
Yeah.
How is that? I mean, and mind you, it's a bunch of dudes who don't know nothing about a woman's body.
Correct.
Nope.
In this state, in the state house, even whatever, if there's 4 or 5 women that are in the house that supported this type of legislation, who are they?
Who are they? And how about IU is having to send their medical students other places because of the ban here. So not only are we, putting women's lives at risk, we aren't even retaining the best talent that we can in the medical profession. So that's going to hurt everybody.
Yeah. I don't understand how science has advanced. These type of healthcare needs are preventable. These situations. How is that any different? The advancements that we were experiencing in cancer, where we can help a patient. You left a patient to die. You allowed her to die because of medical advances are there to save her life, and you didn't allow it for whatever, for your own
political, religious reason. And how about the denial of the Jewish faith and their belief system? You're basically saying whatever you believe, if you're not a Christian, you don't, it doesn't matter. It doesn't come into play. I mean, all of this, and it comes back down to, women are making incredible strides in the military. They wanted to be in live combat. They are in combat. They wanted to be on submarines. They are on submarines. But when you become pregnant,
fighter jets, you name it, right?
All of that, everything. I mean, gosh, why do you not think women have the same passions and desires as men do in certain areas? Not all men want to go in the military. Not all women don't want to go in the military. So you know what I'm saying? So what kills me is that they don't understand, like, a woman can be limited and her ability to advance in the military if she gets pregnant at the wrong time, or if she doesn't have the ability to plan her pregnancies, like, storing some eggs away for later. Right.
Or that rape case you talked about too. Because
they're coming after IVF. So if they're coming after, a woman can decide, okay, I want to fertilize some things, put them in storage until I'm done with this level of, and then we can do something with these eggs later after I've accomplished this, that, and the third. But these guys feel like they know better for you and your life planning. These folks, I'm going to say, because there's some women in there, these folks feel like they know better and should be able to tell you how to do your family planning. Think about that.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about, we're in football season. Michael Strahan, we all know who that is, and Good Morning America, Giants football player. His daughter has been very open in public. She started college last year in California. In October, she started to get very, very sick, headaches, dizzy, fainted, major hospitalization. She had a tumor in her brain. She's been fighting cancer for the last year. She just went back to school, but one of the precautionary measures so she could plan a family down the line was before she started chemo and all her cancer treatments, they froze her eggs.
Yeah.
So there's so many things involved in this that we're telling, or we're giving. They want to control people's lives on so many levels. You're taking away your basic human rights, your rights.
Exactly.
When and how you are going to have a family and what your future looks like.
I think we ought to follow what Governor Walz says and said, mind your damn business. And these people are all up in you, but they get mad if you come talk to them about their business, or they be all in their feelings, but they are okay.
Hands off.
They're okay with, you know.
Well, I don't like the
hypocrisy.
Hypocrisy.
Yeah.
Thank you. I get so wound up about this.
Me too.
Sometimes.
And we're talking about people who are willing to make the ultimate sacrifice for our country. I'm a chicken.
Already. Their families have, yes.
I am a chicken. I could not be, after JROTC, I knew I couldn't shoot. The basic training, they told me I had to crawl through mud. No, thank you. I am a chicken. I know what I am not capable of doing. But if somebody is willing to go serve, to make sure that I have all of these freedoms that these clowns are trying to take away, I say,
let's take care of them.
Oh my God. Why is this so hard?
And then you look at this Project 2025, and there's approximately about 19 million veterans across the country.
Yeah, let's talk about the veterans.
19 million veterans. About 9 million are enrolled in the Veterans Health Administration healthcare program.
Big deal.
Big deal.
Absolutely.
Now, the theme that we have talked about, and you follow the bouncing ball, is they want to privatize.
That's their whole thing. They've been talking about that. Democrats have blocked that for years. If they could that's their fever dream, is to privatize the entire system, which diminishes everything.
Because the reason why, you think about our veterans, they've served our country, not a lot of them, but there is, I think it was like 3 out of 4, 3 out of 5, a lot of them for various health reasons are on medication. Ding, ding, ding. Why do you think they want to privatize them? Because the prescription medications, and the money goes back to the drug company.
Yes.
Well, and they want that whole oversight of trying to make sure regulations are there, and they want to reduce the size of government, whether it's Agenda 47 or Project 2025. Those are the type of things that will destroy the VA as we know it now, and this entire medical system, because there will be no oversight. There will be owned by these pharmaceutical companies who say, you don't get that because we say so.
Exactly.
Yep.
Seriously.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And if you dig a little deeper, we all know the Concerned Veterans for America. Guess who's behind that?
Oh,
I don't even know. Go.
What two brothers are well funding the
Koch brothers?
There you go.
I had no idea.
My God.
Concerned Veterans for America. No, your concern is you want to privatize the healthcare.
That's some marketing BS there. Yeah.
And I don't understand. Like, if you give your service, why should I have to go through a private company now? I mean, you lied to me. You told me when I joined up, we had a contract.
Right.
We had a contract.
Yep.
Right. Because literally you sign a contract with the military when you join one of those branches.
For your time. Right.
And these are you give us this, we will promise you this. And now these people are out here trying to break that contract with the military.
No GI Bill. GI Bill's gone. Your health care's screwed. There's a number of things that are going on that you lose that. The government is going to be smaller. There'll be no administration that you can go to even file a grievance to about how you're treated.
And they're already screwing, veterans over who were exposed to those burn pits. They finally got that thing squared. Like, it's already where the veterans have to fight for things, and we don't even deal with the mental anguish and why we have so many homeless veterans on the streets right now. So if they can't get the mental health care that they need for a free price, they're already homeless.
Right.
Again, people, the orchestrators of Project 2025 do not give two wits about regular everyday people. What they care about are the barons of industry. Just like we've seen this before, people. Study history. We have seen this before.
Yeah.
And they want to turn us back to in the 1919 era, where the monopolies, which we have a lot of those, and these people are in control, and they want to keep cutting taxes so they don't have to pitch in nothing.
Right.
And the rest of us can fend for ourselves while they dirty our water, dirty our air, make it difficult for our kids to get educated, make it difficult for us to get housing. They don't want to increase the pay. All of these things for a few people.
Right.
This is why we are telling
they're just backdating America like Governor Holcomb did.
Right. And the other thing is they're not looking at the reality of what's happening in the landscape. when I was looking at this, 56% of rural veterans are our older population. They live in the rural areas. They're 65 and older. Okay. So privatizing healthcare also means they're going to look at what rural hospitals are, quote, air quote, making me a profit. Well, this rural hospital is not making me a profit, so I'm going to close it down.
That's
Okay,
a good point.
exactly. So you're going to see more and more rural veterans shit out of
Suffer.
luck in terms of
Right.
getting the health care they need.
If you don't
because-
have transportation, you're not getting there.
there
Yeah.
you go. And then the
And,
other
and
thing,
those VFWs and all the rest of them, that's what their thing is to buy a van to help people get to the VA.
exactly. And when you look even further, 27% of rural veterans don't have adequate access
No.
to broadband and the internet. So
Mhm.
therefore, telehealth is not an option for them.
Exactly.
These rural hospitals supported by the VA and they're able to see their primary care and all the needs that are associated
Right.
with that will be gone because and when you privatize the healthcare system, if the bottom line are we're not making a profit, we're closing up shop.
Yeah, and I want to shout out Congressional District 9 candidate Tim Peck. He
Yes.
actually had a telehealth business. He's a doctor. He's been to Capitol Hill to lobby for telehealth. So if
Yes.
you believe in, because he lives in rural Indiana. And
Yeah.
he understands the significance of having telehealth available. So if you're looking for a candidate that is about telehealth and understands how that works and how to get the necessary health care to people in places where, there aren't a lot of facilities, vote for Tim Peck for Congress in District 9 if you are down in Congressional District 9.
That is 100%
Incredible.
true. He was part of the first 500 doctors that spearheaded that initiative, going down to Congress in the early days to really advocate for the accessibility of healthcare through telehealth.
I did
Absolutely.
not know that. Thank you. That's
Yep.
great information. Yeah.
And here in Indiana, they're trying to take away that ability
Yeah.
because we don't know, we don't want to give healthcare. That is not the
Child.
world we live in anymore.
And listen, it worked during the pandemic when we had no other choice. So what makes you think it won't work now? And
Well-
think about seniors who, there are some seniors who are tech savvy but aren't mobile.
Yeah.
I was married
Can't
to
get
one.
there.
I was married to a person who now she's what, 72? And she was 18 years my senior, gadget girl and a technology focused
Yeah.
boomer. Okay. But she also had mobility issues. And so always getting around physically wasn't her thing. So for her, technology was a way for her to
get everywhere.
to get groceries, to
Yeah.
get food, so
Act with people.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
So even our seniors, who a lot of them don't think are tech savvy, a lot of them are. In fact, we're almost there, y'all. We're the Gen Xers, so
I am.
we're Gen Xers. We getting up there. Here we have a whole podcast that we produce ourselves. But it's telehealth and getting the veterans the care that they need. Also, the other thing is there are resources that are being put into going out and reaching out to veterans. Project 2025 would eliminate that.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's reducing the size of government. And what that does in their government influence, obviously, would translate to significant cuts to veteran services, period.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
There's
So
just,
don't get used to it because it could go away. Yeah.
yeah. So we have actually, guys, we have one more topic we want to cover. Do we want to do it today or do you want to save it for the next conversation? Because I tell you what, this was a great convo today.
Yeah.
And
I think we've topped it right now. Let's put that cherry on the next one.
Yeah, I think we should because there's still a lot to do, to get these
Oh, yeah.
candidates. Instead of a call to action today, let's do something a little different.
Uh-oh.
All right, and I'll go first, so I'll give you a little chance to think about it. Tell me a candidate that you want to highlight, right? That's running for office, that you want folks to know about. Now I'll go ahead and I'll go first. I'll go first so that you guys can think about it. I am thinking about Robert Pope, who is over in Avon. He is right now the town council over there, where he was the first Democrat elected to the town council, and then his voted him, his Republican peers voted him to be the president of the town council as the only Democrat. He is now, and I screwed up because I forgot to look and see what district he's running in, but hold on, I'm about to get it. But Robert Pope, who is running for the Indiana House, let me get the District 40. I got it. He's running for House District 40. He is my candidate. I want you guys, and I'm going to put their links in. Everybody that you mentioned, I'm going to put their links in so that we can, their donate link or their website link or whatever for us. He has an opportunity to do something good here. He can flip the seat. Let me tell you a little bit about him. You know, he's a veteran. He's a military veteran. And I know this has nothing to do with nothing, because if this was a woman and I said this, some commented on how he looks, you guys would be mad at me. But he looks like Paul Bunyan. Like, he was like the perfect Democrat for this district. He's a big, tall, redhead guy, and he's got a heart of gold. He is, I love this guy. He's breaking barriers. So, guys, find Robert Pope. He is my candidate for the week that I want to highlight. All right. Did I give you guys enough time to find somebody that
I got an idea on that too. My big thing is here, Northeast Indiana. 1994 was the last time a Democrat represented us in the U.S. Congress. And trust me, I've been paying attention every election cycle. It's every 2 years. So we've been defeated a lot here. I think our candidate now, Dr. Kylie Adolph, is head and shoulders above anybody we've put up in the past. There's 13 counties in this U.S. congressional district. She has been in every one of them. Wow. She's having meetings with whoever will listen, which is a very wide swath, because she's a rural person coming from the Angola, Indiana area. She is bringing it hard. She has a background in education. She's a teacher, so she understands what that's about. That's what her doctorate's in. But what's great about it is she knows no stranger. Everywhere she goes, she's friendly with everybody. She's not boisterous and big and loud and beating her chest or anything like that. She just gets it done because she's just matter of fact and will listen. And my goodness, couldn't be more excited. It's KylieForCongress.org, and I'm seeing how she's been in these parades everywhere. She's meeting with the rural voters. She's not afraid. She understands what Fort Wayne means here in this district as far as the votes go. But what she's really doing is connecting with those rural voters, which has not happened. When Jill Long Thompson, when she ran in the past, that was her thing. She was a rural girl who came from the farm, and that was why she got to go to Washington, D.C. She did some fantastic things, brought money back home. I can tell you right now, the person who's running against Kylie Adolph, who held this seat in the past too, just because it's an R and everybody just pulled the lever, he's done nothing to come back and bring anything back for anybody back here. You know, help this person here, help that person there. But did you bring money back and fix our airport? Did you bring money back to help some kind of infrastructure thing? Not at all.
Not at all.
Dr. Kylie Adolph will be that person.
All right.
That's who I'm excited about.
Okay. Mary, who are you excited about?
All right, to wrap it up here, I'm going to give a shout out to House District 69, who's running there as Trish Whitcomb.
Hey.
I think this is a good tie-in because she's running against Jim Lucas, who has orchestrated many of the gun legislation, that have gone through our state house that put our communities at risk. Not only has he done that, he has brandished his gun and landed on MSNBC in front of school children who were in the state house for an educational day, saying, "Look at me, I've got a gun." And they felt threatened because that's power over somebody, right? We all know that.
Yes.
Trish Whitcomb is a trusted community leader. Her father, if we recall, go back in time, Governor Whitcomb.
Yes.
Republican side. So Trish knows how to get stuff done and work across the aisle, because we need to get things done to move our communities forward. She's your trusted neighbor. She wants to address the mental health issues and give access to community care. She also recognized the high cost of prescription drugs that her community needs, the housing issues, and down there she is in the same district as congressional run candidate Tim Peck, and they want to address the jobs. We need more jobs in that area. So she's ready to roll up her sleeves and get things done, as opposed to Jim Lucas is out there just scapegoating and othering everybody and just really stoking the fires with culture wars. And
wasn't he actually sanctioned?
Well, I don't think they even sanctioned him for he was arrested for drinking and driving, possession, and then leaving the scene of an accident.
That was it. Yes.
Oh, but that is a very good candidate to represent us.
Oh, absolutely.
Folks, we need to start voting for folks who are going to get things done in our community and help us move forward.
Yeah, model citizen right there. And then he was mocking everybody with the masks, if you remember that, where he put the stocking over his
him. Yes.
When people were dying, literally dying, So
we still are. Yeah.
you know what? I love all those. I'm going to put, Pope, Adolf, Whitcomb, and Peck up so that people can find out more about these candidates. Because I tell you what, the energy from the Harris walls is going to trickle down.
It is.
And if we've got to let people know who's on the ballot, because, it's hard to keep it up. Our job as leaders in this communication political space is to make sure that we are highlighting these people, right? We all got a job to do. We're not candidates, so we got to highlight these candidates. And I tell you what, we're going to put them up on our Let's Talk Indiana podcast so people can find out who they are.
And ask yourself, what are you going to do this week? It could be texting 4 friends to make sure they're registered to vote, looking up these candidates and reaching out and sharing them with your community members. As Michelle Obama said,
yes,
do something.
Do something. That's what she said. That's why it was one of my favorite speeches.
It was a good one.
Yes.
My feet still have not touched the ground after that. I mean,
absolutely.
Just to be totally honest, like, it was my first convention.
Oh, that's amazing.
And
the
to be able
the power of it. Yeah.
And it was Nicole's first convention as well. So we got to experience it together as a couple, but we actually had we were in different spaces because she was a delegate and I was a vendor, but we would reconvene back at the hotel, and the hotel, I'm sorry, the show's over, but the hotel, and this is going to be in there. We stayed at the McCormick Place, which was where Dimpalooza was. It was the hotel. So I saw, Gabby Giffords. I saw Ayanna Presley.
They're in the same hallways you are.
They're walking down.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I am. Y'all know I'm a political groupie. So to see
you went to Mecca.
I did.
I have to give a shout out for Ayanna. She's back in Massachusetts. She's from my district. She's the one who broke the glass ceiling in that district. And gosh, she's been good. She's been really good.
If ever you get an opportunity to go to the DNC, take it. Take it. It was an experience of a lifetime, and I hope I get to do it again.
So. The energy, and you didn't have to be a vendor or a delegate. You can still go up there and participate in the caucus seminar.
Those panel discussions. There's such a huge array. Yes.
And the public could come into the Dimpalooza. You didn't have to have credentials for anything.
Right. You just had to go through the security. As everybody else did. And one of the other caucus breakout rooms that I was in was the youth caucus. That one was alive and electric. Cory Booker spoke. Ayanna Priestley spoke. It was amazing. Harris came in there, our good DNC chair.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun. And I think what was really exciting, the way the Democrats put a show on, because everybody was so excited and electric, that energy came back. And we now know we need to get to work. So folks, again.
I got to be at a brunch with my CEO, and they had John Legend introduce Governor Westmore.
Yep.
And they had actor Michael Ealy introduce Senator LaFonza Butler.
Nice.
This is these are the
awesome.
spaces I was in. And that was like, I had to be there. Like, it was my job.
Worst day ever. That's great.
What impressed me a lot too? Governor Indy Bashir in Kentucky, because we were in that room when he did his speech and his panel discussion. Let me tell you, really, really nice guy. He really talked about how doing little things every day actually does make a difference.
It does make a difference.
So I want to leave everybody with that note.
Yes, and Michelle Obama's do something. Guys, this was a great conversation. The flow that we have is so amazing. So we may just have to keep this going. We have to, once we get done breaking down Project 2025 and the election is over, we may have to figure out how we can keep Let's Talk Indiana going. Because I know this was supposed to be a limited podcast, but we got something going on here.
Yes, we do.
I'm in. You know me, I'm in.
I love it. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening. We will have another episode. We'll record another episode next Monday, and I am home for a couple of weeks.
Yay.
Welcome back.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening. Click the like and subscribe button so you don't miss a single episode.
Let's Talk Indiana is a joint production of Mary Noone of Campaign Strategy, Mark Gevaart of My Labor Radio, and Indiana's own Dana Black of Turn Left.